Hey guys, this is my second Zoom interview, and today I'm interviewing Christine McCarron, and she is someone who we both attended Certified Life Coach Institute together, and we've done one interview where she interviewed me, and I said, well, you know what, can I now interview you? Christine is dynamic. She is doing a multitude of business or working with a multitude of businesses, from everything from investing to uh, renovating homes to so many other things, which she can tell you about. But the way that I describe Christine is she's kind of like the sparkles. So, you know how somebody tells you a story and it can be kind of like, a little bit lackluster. Well, Christine always has that oomph in there. So I'm excited to hear from her. So, Christine, welcome.
Thank
Uh,
you so much, Kelly. I'm so excited to be your second official guest.
so, well, this is just a fun thing, just trying things out, just a fun thing. So I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us who you are.
Sure. I am, I guess the best word, if you had to like give me a job description, it would probably just be entrepreneur, which is general enough to kind of allow me to fit all the different buckets in. My quote unquote job is I'm a real estate agent, but as you know, as you were saying earlier, I do real estate investing, I do stock investing, I do um, my own home renovation stuff. I have a podcast of my own, the Get Your Fill Financial Independence and Long Life podcast. I don't know, I mean, a blog, I do, my lots of little hats, lots of different hats. And life
So,
coaching, as we know, certified life coaching. So many hats.
well, yeah, that's like a whole lot. That's beyond the juggling thing. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and some people say, oh, well, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm like, well, you know what? You need to talk to Christine because she's doing it all. She's doing everything. So, let me ask you this: out of all those things that you're doing, right? Which one would you say gives you the most joy?
Right now, well, okay, I don't want to discount my, work as a real estate agent because I love working with first-time investors. I love working with first-time buyers. That is like, I get such a charge out of that. And you're actually helping people change their lives. And it's a lot of fun. But for right now, for like what I feel is giving me just so much right now is the podcast. It is just so fun to have an excuse to interview some of the most interesting and fun and, people who can 100% help me in my business, that they just kind of keep appearing. It's almost like a conduit for the universe to send me amazing people who I need to talk to anyway,
Yeah,
like you and like some of the
thank
other folks.
you.
I actually was just talking to somebody the other day. I didn't even know that this is what she did, but she's like a coach for life coaches. I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they say every life coach needs a coach. You can't be a
Oh,
life
yes.
coach without a coach. And the thing is, if you stop growing, then all you're doing is pulling out what you have in reserve, right? And you keep pulling out, pulling out, pulling out until there's nothing left. And when there's nothing left, what are you going to coach or what are you going to teach? So you should always be growing, always be learning. My dad used to read the dictionary. Not, you don't have to get that intense, but you should always be learning. So tell me a little bit about some of the challenges with doing a podcast, some of the things that make it great and rewarding, and some of the challenges you face along the way.
I think that a lot of the challenges are more technical kinds of things. I'm still fine tuning like the intro and I'm still learning. I actually learned from a fellow podcaster the other day that what he does is he takes a snippet from like all the exciting stuff that you talk about inside the podcast and he puts that at the beginning of the podcast and, learning about like promoting and stuff like that. So that's not really my bailiwick or my forte to do all the marketing pieces of it and the technical. Like I have an editor because I really just I couldn't even get my brain around the idea of downloading some new kind of software and learning how to take out the mistakes and do all this kind of stuff. So I just was like, does anyone know anyone who can edit this thing?
Well,
But yeah, but by far and away, as I said, the most exciting and the most fun is just talking to new people and learning about them and their business and how they get started and what makes them, what they feel, what they get excited about, what they feel differentiates them. And they always I take so much away from each podcast. I just learn so much from each podcast that it's totally feeding my need for new experiences and learning and growth. I love it.
Wow. And what would you say is one thing that you try to do in each podcast? What do you think makes your podcast different from the rest? Wait, let me just interject one thing. I was listening to a podcast recently of a gentleman who makes 9 figures. And what he was saying is that he has between 4 to 7 coaches at a time. Right now, he has 4 coaches because he has realized that there's certain things that he can't do. So because he can't do them, he uses a coach to help him do them more effectively. So why not waste, but why put 10 hours into something? Whereas he can pay someone, get it done in an hour and get it done efficiently, correctly, and not have to do it over and over again. So, I applaud you because one of the things is being humble and saying you need help. And a lot of times we aren't humble enough to say we need help along the way. So that is pretty cool. But but what is one of the nuggets you can say that you try to instill in your podcast that makes your podcast different from the others?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I don't even know if I'm that qualified to answer it because if I'm honest, I don't listen to that many podcasts. Oh, that's not very good, is it? But I guess, and life coaching training, becoming a certified life coach has helped with this. But I think it's the active listening, because so often when you hear any type of interview, that the person doing the interviewing is just going through a list and they just like checking the boxes. Okay, I asked that, I asked that. But they're not really listening to what the other person is saying. And when you listen, I just feel like you get into different places. So I always have a guide of where I want to, things like questions up my sleeve, but I don't have any problem with just throwing that right in the trash. If the conversation is going in a certain direction and things are coming up that are interesting, I'm really listening to what that guest is saying, and then they're kind of driving the bus as far as where we're going to end up. And I don't know if a lot of other people do that. You know what I mean? I think other people are more focused on, these are the things I want to get out of this, or these are the things that I need to, these are the questions I'm asking, period, regardless of what the guest wants to talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, it does happen. It's sometimes it's ego, right? Sometimes it's ego. So let me ask you this. Tell me one of the stories where the bus was driven, like where you thought you were going in one place and then you wound up in like a completely different place. Tell me something. Remember, I called you Sparkle, so we need a sparkle in here.
Oh no! Oh, so much pressure, Kelly. Oh my God!
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Now I have to be sparkly. And think back to all these different things. Well, you know what? So one time when it always happens is if I didn't do my homework and I really don't know exactly what the person does, and then they start talking and I'm like, oh man, this is not anywhere near what I thought it was going to be about, and then you're like kind of then you really have to listen.
Or what if you talk to them beforehand, right? And you get the answers, and then they get on the show and they say something completely different, and you're like, oh no, that's not what I thought. You were going to say something else. It's like,
I know. Well, it's interesting, sometimes I actually interviewed a person who, her role in her company is what they do is they help people to make, it's like she's like a philanthropic consultant, I guess you could say. Like, so if you had tons of money and you wanted to leave it somewhere, or it's like you would talk to her about the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. And I guess I thought it was going to be all about just that, right? We're just going to talk about giving and stuff like that. But it turns out there's so much more to it.
Oh my gosh.
She started talking about like all this tax strategies and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, huh? And so then I felt like I was just like, I wanted to, another guy I interviewed that, again, I had no clue. He knew all about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I knew the questions I was asking were so basic, right? I'm thinking anybody who knows about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is going to say, why is she asking these really elementary questions? But I hope that I'm not the only one in the world who just doesn't have a clue of how that stuff works, So I was like, oh, okay. So tell me again, what's blockchain? We really had to go. Ooh. And this guy was like an expert in the field. So he was probably going, oh, Jan, how did I end up on this podcast? But
But you know, it's so good because you never know what the audience needs. I will tell you that my mentor in New York was Kay Wright, and I worked for American Express, and she was my mentor, and she oversaw the philanthropic department. She actually introduced me to Dave Dinkins when I was there because she was trying to get me to work in the philanthropic department.
Mhm.
And the complexity of how they select who they're going to donate to was phenomenal. The interviewing or the vetting process. I mean, what I learned through that and learned through working with her. I mean, Kay is just phenomenal. I mean, we would go into a room and she's just a dynamo. So, yeah, it's amazing how you can learn things in a very unexpected environment if you are willing to listen and learn. And sometimes, as you said before, we have this finite view of how things are supposed to be handled until nuggets can be dropping, in our pathway, but we miss them. We miss them because we're so busy trying to move forward in a different direction.
Mhm.
So when you help individuals with real estate, you mentioned that you are doing potentially life-changing activity.
Mhm.
Tell me about that. Have you ever thought about incorporating that into your podcast, what you're stating that you love, or some of those stories or some of those incidents?
It's interesting you say that because I actually, on the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder if I wouldn't like to have a new, like an additional podcast, like something else where it's different sort of because the Get Your Fill, the whole thing behind that, it's financial independence and long life. So it's not FIRE, it's not financial independence, retire early, because I am too old for FIRE. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to live a really long time to make this all work out. So that gives me some wiggle room, but really I'm mostly talking to people in the entrepreneurial space, people who are talking about wealth creation, people who are talking about ways to get to a point where you don't need to have, your 9 to 5, W-2 type of job anymore. And not so much real estate per se, not like real estate the way I do it, like buying, helping people buy and sell homes and stuff like that. And so I have actually thought of, like, wouldn't it be cool to just talk about, for example, how you buy a house, right? Like basically bring my blog to the airwaves, sort of thing. And that, yeah, it doesn't really fit. The real estate piece of my life doesn't really fit that well into the current podcast, except, like I did a segment on Airbnb, for example. How do you become an Airbnb super host? Things like that, where I bring some of my own experience. But for the most part, it's all about the guest, and there isn't really too much about my day-to-day kind of life. So maybe I'll start a new one. Good idea. Thanks, Kelly.
I don't know, because you're pretty humble over here. You're not really telling us the full deal about Get Your Fill. How popular is Get Your Fill?
So I know what you're asking is Get Your Fill is.
I did my homework.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you don't know when you start a podcast who is going to be the listener, who's going to be, where it's going to catch on and things like that. But it actually, I got a notification the other day that it's the #2 podcast in Barbados in that entrepreneurial space. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. And the other thing that I found out the other day is that it was rated number 27 out of the top 70 financial independence and early retirement and financial independence list of podcasts on FeedSpot. So I was like, man, I'm just so psyched, because when I looked the other day, there's like 1.9 million podcasts.
Holy geez.
So for me to be, yeah, exactly. For me to be anywhere on any list on the planet is really amazing and exciting. Right? You figure like, okay, we got a couple million podcasts here, and we're going to pull this one out as number 27 out of, the top 70. I'm like, whoa, man, it really fires me up. I'm so honored and thrilled and whatever.
Getting fired up. So getting fired up. How do you know when you are at the ultimate fire? So what is the ultimate fire? You're getting fired up. What is fire? It's a fire.
You mean fire, like fire, like financial independence, retire early, or like what does it mean when I get fired up? Like what does that mean
So
to
you're
me?
getting fired up and excited, right? So what is the ultimate fired up and excited? Is there a vision? Is there a next level? Is there a milestone? Or is the, you know, are you
Oh
coasting?
yeah. Oh
Are you going to
yeah. Oh,
mentor? Are you
absolutely.
going to be mentored? Like what's next?
That's, there are so, my like big gigantic end of the road, but not really end of the road, but end of this particular milestone has me doing like public speaking, when once we can do that again, like up on stage talking people through how to change, how to like basically get a grip on their lives and get to the point where they have some kind of a passive income stream that is giving them the flexibility to do the work that they want, to live the life that they want, right? It doesn't mean you never work again, right? It doesn't mean you just go sit on a beach, but it means that if the job that you love pays $20,000 a year, that you can do that job and you can still eat and you can still have a great car and you can still have a life, right? But you can do what you're passionate about, and maybe you don't get paid anything, but you just have the time and the freedom, because that's what money to me. What does money mean? Money to me means freedom.
Yes, 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 yes. And walking in your purpose. You know, sometimes we do things to survive versus doing things that are within our purpose. You know, there are people with gifts and
Exactly.
talents who do rote things to survive, but it's not about the quality of life and walking in your purpose. So, it,
It's so true. I want to tell you two things, Kelly. I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you just
no,
then.
never. You never. Keep going, because you're sparkles. Keep going.
Two things that you just reminded me of when you just said that. And one is that my cousin said to me, she hates her job. I mean, with a passion. She just absolutely hates it. And it shows itself in her whole life, that how much she despises her job. But you know what she said to me the other day? Something like only 15 more years to retirement. 15 years. Okay. Another
It's a long
same,
time.
not a long flipping time, right? I'm like 15 years. Ah! So that was one thing. Like 15 years, you might not, that might be your last 15 years on earth. Do you know what I mean? Like every single day is so precious. And to think about wasting 15 years in a job that you absolutely despise because you're not quite like mentally ready to make some kind of an investment in yourself, in your life, and in, maybe like a piece of real estate or a stock or something that will allow you to just cut the cord on that shit job. I mean, sorry, can I say that?
I went to Catholic school. We'll say Hail Mary.
Okay, all right. After this, we'll do an atonement. And the other person is someone who I was actually coaching, and she, same thing. She's been married for 10 years, does not like her husband really. She's kind of figured out he wasn't who she thought he was. He's kind of depressed and cranky, and she doesn't feel comfortable inviting people to the house. She doesn't feel comfortable leaving the house. He's like full of questions, full of jealousy. And I just thought, to me, it's like, so leave him, like, you don't say that in life coaching. But I'm thinking, what's your rationale for staying with him? And it's money, because she's afraid that she's not going to have the money, that be able to have the same lifestyle if she leaves him. And it's also, what else she said to me is, well, I've already been with him for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, I said, what's the oldest person in your family? Like, how old is your mom? She's, oh, my mom's 84. I said, okay, so that's 30 years. 30 more years before you croak that you're going to spend in misery potentially with this guy. I mean, are you just hoping for him to drop dead sooner than you? I mean, what is your end plan? And that all comes down to money. If you have the money to do what you want to do, if you've got your own passive income stream going on and your husband turns out to be a loser, you're just like, dude, later, best of luck to you. I am out of here.
Well, Chris, I'm sorry. I was gonna
No,
say,
no, I mean, not that I'm encouraging people to end their marriages, you know what I mean? But I just feel like people, they give their power to others because that other person has a lifestyle that they need, instead of making that lifestyle for themselves.
I was gonna say sometimes it's also, with me working with domestic violence and life coaching, etc., sometimes it's the money, but it's the self-efficacy that's stronger than that. So one person I was working with, she was telling me that she kept going back to her ex-husband even after they had separated because she did not know how to pay the garbage bill. So the garbage bill was, I think, like $30, $40 a month, or maybe 3 months or something like that. But he had scared her so much about what she was incapable of doing. She was fearful of paying a garbage bill. So I don't belittle that, because that's real. That is someone's situation.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's about the money, but it's also about managing the money or having the self-efficacy or the insight of what to do with the money. And if it's presented with multiple layers, that's a more complex learning and can be more frustrating or create more angst. But the way you Sparkles present it, in real life and in Barbados and etc., I think that probably makes it more palatable for people, or easier for people to engage. So that is a gift and a charm that's amazing. That's why you're amazing.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for saying that. I hope that I bring it to a level where people realize that it's not, I mean, of course it's daunting, right? When you think about it, like, I'm going to own a piece of real estate, or I'm going to own, I'm going to have to decide which stocks to own. And I've totally been there, because when I started buying stocks, you never met a less educated stock investor than I was when I started. I was a complete, I didn't have a clue of how it all worked. I just bought things because I liked the name of the company. I bought things because, I had an alphabet portfolio where I tried to buy the stocks that just had one letter in their name. And what the heck kind of a strategy is that, So, but the thing is that once you make the goal of what you're going to do, but you're absolutely right. I don't want to belittle what you were just saying, because it's absolutely right. It's not just the money, it's the mindset. It's what that person has done to your head, right? And that's she's like,
I'm sorry. And that's where the coaching comes in, is helping with the mindset, because it's what that person did to you, but it's also your support group. So sometimes the support or the base that you have around you may not be headed in the same direction you're in. I give you a quick example. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not interjecting. No. Okay.
No.
I give you a quick example. So one person said to me that I was coaching, one person said to me that they were trying to start a life coaching business in California, right? And as we were talking, he was telling me about how his mother is an educator, his mother's an educator, his neighbor's an educator, all these other different people are educators, right? And he's known them all his life. And so he's looking to do something that's completely different, that's not in the realm of education. So when he's talking about something that's outside of the realm of education, it's a far reach for them to understand anything that's not a 9 to 5 or whatever job. So as he's approaching them with this new opportunity, they're telling him, you got to get a job. You can't do the life coach. So my response to him is, sometimes you have to expand your network to people who understand where you're going and not just where you are. And, et cetera. So
yeah,
that
you're
impacts your
absolutely
mind.
right. Yeah, exactly. And that's why, I don't even know who said it, because I hear all different people quoted as saying that, but you are, I think Charlie Tremendous Jones got it from somebody else, but you are the sum of the 5 people who you spend the most time with. And if those people are below you, or if those people are in a certain mindset, that's what you're going to adopt. And it's going to seem like, ooh, boy, big deal. This is so risky to leave your job and not do teaching and instead do life coaching. But it's really, if you had other life coaches, or if you had other entrepreneurs or other people in your circle, then it just becomes like you're just brainstorming with them, and you realize that what you're doing is completely normal and not even really that scary, that there's a lot, riskier things you could do with your life or your career or whatever. But I think it's imperative, you're absolutely right. It's imperative that we enlarge our circle to people who maybe scare us a little bit, not because they're creepy, but you know, people whose lives you think, oh man, that person is such a like a risk taker, you know, they're so whatever. And you're like, no. All right.
Grow.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Sorry about that.
No, I was just gonna say, grow where you want to grow. Do you know what I mean? So so in New Jersey, when I lived in New Jersey, I had pockets of friends who like to do different things. So me, I like to roller skate. I like to dance. I love to do home parties where we do potluck. I love playing spades. I love beading. Beading is my hobby. I don't like going out to restaurants, but I will go if everybody else wants to go. I don't like the movies. I've never liked the movies, but you know, I will go if everybody else wants to go. So I had friends who like to do different things. So some of my friends love to go roller skating. Some of my friends like to go dancing. Some of my friends were very business savvy like me, you know, and when I say business savvy, I mean some people were. So I was in sales and marketing. So some of my friends were very strategic sales and marketing people. So I had different people who had different interests that we socialized with on a regular basis. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean leaving. Like I didn't tell him to leave his circle. What I told him was to expand in the different areas that he wants to grow in. And so, like I said, I'm not really big on restaurants. My parents were very much into just having that strong communal type of base. You know, they had like 6 to 8 friends that they spent like every weekend together with, and they went to each other's homes. So that made having that type of stability and that type of network or that type of tribe very important to me. And I don't think you really get that kind of a tribe. For me, I don't really get that kind of a tribe when I go to the movies or when I go out to a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
You know, that large eclectic group talking about different things. I mean, they could talk about the whole stance in one setting, or you could go from one area to one area at the dinner table and, you know, or whatever, and talk to different people. And I love that eclectic environment. I went to New York every single weekend, Manhattan every single weekend, because I love that eclectic environment where I'm growing strategically, etc. So I wanted to ask you, with everything that you're saying, what do you think is one of the things that you do, you know, as a measurement tool? Like, you know, I'm on my way at like I'm there ascertaining that you are moving people in the right way with regards to the stock investment and all the other different types of things that you're saying. What lets you know that you're on the right way? Because you're talking about not necessarily having a formula and people are doing all these different things. How did you know that you had the right way to do it?
Well, I just found, as you said, I just found the right tribe of people who, once I met them, I realized like big light bulb, like I realized all the things I had been doing wrong. And so it just clicked, and I never doubted that these folks were doing it right. You know, I didn't teach myself how to invest in stocks, not even close. I found a group of people who I somehow attracted a fantastic group to myself who have that's their thing. They just love teaching people how to invest in the stock market. They just love, you know, getting new people to understand how to do things. And, you know, one of the big things, I'll just share one of the big things that I didn't even know was a thing. I mean, obviously the stock market goes up and down. Mm-hmm. And so you can find a company, you know, it's a great company, but is it now the right time to buy that stock? Mm-hmm. And I just thought if it's a good company and you want to buy it, you just go buy it. But that's not necessarily the case. You do this analysis and you see, oh, this company's a little bit overvalued right now. This might not be the right time to buy. But then when you have a day like March 8th or whatever day it was when all of a sudden everything tanked, then you know you've got the analysis done. You know it's a great company, and then you can just dive on it and just buy it up when it gets into a place where it's low. So that was a big piece that was missing in my life is you know, is this the right time to buy this great company? So, like, you know, stuff like that, when you think, all of a sudden I was just like, oh, duh, you know, whoa, wow, I never thought of that. But so that I just instinctively knew that I had found the right group of people. You know, like I said, I did not in any way, shape, or form teach myself how to do that.
I used to work for Days Inn. I was the operations trainer. and I worked under I can't remember his name right now, but Nancy Poor, and oh God, I can't remember my director's name. But anyway, bottom line, Nancy Poor from Standard and Poor's, right? And so basically, they would talk about the stock market every day. And so I remember this was like in 2000, and he said the big hit was going to be Home Depot. And I was like, why do you think it's going to be Home Depot? He said, because people are going to be investing in their homes more in the future. He said, this is going to be a big product. And he kept preaching. Gosh, why can't I think of his name? Joe. But anyway, he kept preaching Home Depot, Home Depot, Home Depot. And it was like maybe, I don't know, maybe a year later, all I saw was Home Depot escalating, 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 escalating. And what he was talking about was the trends in the market, not, as you said, what's going on now, but how do you forecast what's next? If you were to give our listeners a tidbit of advice, or if you can think of a nugget that we may have not discussed so far, what is it that you would like to leave with them as we close down our conversation?
For stock investing or just for life?
Both. Not sure what just happened. I'm sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So, well, for stock investing, I would say get involved with betterinvesting.org. That's the group. They have software, they have experts, they have videos, and they really love the folks that run that company and the folks that are involved and volunteer for that company. They love helping people to learn about the stock market. And so that absolutely, if you are interested, if you think that you're not a great stock picker and you are looking to learn about stocks and how to do analysis and stuff, get involved with Better Investing. It's betterinvesting.org. Like I said, great group, great person, great organization, great website, the whole bit. And like for life, don't be afraid to dream really, really big. One of my mentors says, you're thinking too, what does he say? You're aiming too low and you're moving too slow.
Yeah.
So whatever you think you can do, double it, 10x it, whatever. Just you can do a lot more than you think you can do. You just have to believe in yourself.
Yeah. And also ask the questions, be nosy, ask the questions, reach out, etc. I'm blown away by the resources that are available to us, or that have been made available to me, that, sometimes I just didn't even ask the question. So yeah, there are people out there who are eager to help, who are eager to mentor. I mentor, so praise God, people are mentoring me along the way. So a couple of quick questions, right? 10 quick questions, right? Movies. Horror, comedy, or romance?
Can I have both? Can I have a funny romance?
Yeah, you can have funny romance. Funny romance. Hamburger, turkey, vegan, or beef?
Beef. So far, I haven't had a good turkey burger or a good vegan burger, so I'm going to go with the beef.
You've never had the Impossible Burger?
No, I haven't. I've seen them and I have not had them. So I could go get an Impossible Burger, and then I can maybe I'll change my answer then.
Okay. Favorite season, winter, spring, or fall?
Of those three choices, I would choose fall.
Okay.
Because fall in New England is beautiful. It's a great time of year.
Best type of party, less than 10 people, 20 people, over 100 people?
I don't know. That's a good question. I probably would not say over 100, because then you're probably not going to be able to even talk to anybody or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I love, a friend of mine has parties that tend to be around, maybe a dozen to 15 people, and they're pretty fun because you can, you've got enough time. So probably around 20-ish, that would be my choice.
Okay. Favorite pet, hamster, goldfish, hamster, goldfish, or rattlesnake? Which one would you choose?
Wow. So each one of those has its merit, I probably like goldfish, obviously, when they die, you can just flush them. You don't have to really worry about them. You can leave them for weeks at a time. But then, rattlesnake is kind of exotic, and you can always, they probably make a great guard animal.
You would do the rattlesnake? Oh my God, you would do the rattlesnake? Yeah, you are funny. Okay. Favorite board game: Monopoly, Clue, or Life.
Probably Monopoly. That's more like my life.
Yeah.
Monopoly is my life.
Pass go, right? Pass go.
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite way to cook: grill, bake, or saute?
So eating out's not an option. That's not on the table. Yeah, whichever. I'm a baker. I like to bake cookies and bread and stuff like that. So.
Okay. So I was gonna ask this. Favorite thing for Thanksgiving must be available for you to go to Thanksgiving dinner. Okay. Tofu, takeout menu, or macaroni and cheese.
Oh, I love mac and cheese.
Me too. Oh my God. My mom used to make the best macaroni and cheese. She used to make it, and she would make, she would use the Kraft sauce, and then she would put the layers of grated cheese and make several layers of, oh my God. And it was thick, and it wasn't that creamy stuff. So if I can
I want your mom's recipe. Please.
Oh my God, good big mac and cheese. She would make, so 3 things people used to come to the house for. She used to make, and I'm going to say it the wrong way, but chitterlings, right? She used to make chitterlings. She used to make, and I'm talking about her friends, Jewish and Italian, used to come over to eat those. She used to make coleslaw and macaroni and cheese. Those were her 3 tops. I mean, people could come over for anything, but those 3, they were a hit. Cool. Wait. I have to give you 3 more questions. Let me see. 3 more questions. Most important piece of jewelry. Necklace, ring, or earrings?
I guess probably, I don't know. I mean, as you can see, I don't have a lot of jewelry on. I probably would say earrings, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with this whole Zoom life, to have a necklace or something on to highlight your feet. See my necklace? Kind of funky,
I know.
right?
See, but Kelly, you're a lot more glamorous than I am. You are much more put together. You're looking at you, like your face is done up. You look beautiful. You've got like just the right, touches on and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here like kind of slouching around. You know what I mean? So.
Christine, first of all, you're beautiful as you are, right? We're all beautiful as we are.
As we are, right.
And some people don't need the makeup. So my thing is, I try to put something dark on my eyebrows. I put some lipstick on, and that's really it. The reason, and I'm allergic to makeup, so I really don't wear any makeup. Sometimes I'll put like something underneath my eyes and make them pop out a little bit, but I don't do all that stuff that everybody else does. But when I was growing up, my dad always told me, he said, Kelly, find the red lipstick that you like and wear the red lipstick, especially when you go out in public, because men across the room, I guess he also said this because I'm single, right? No, but men across the room will notice if you are approachable, or will deem you more approachable if you have on red lipstick, because they can see you when you smile and etc. and doesn't blend together, so they can see your teeth. So wear the red lipstick because it makes you seem more approachable. And being in sales and being in marketing, you're always hoping that people will come and approach you, or you appear approachable. So that was why I did the red lipstick. So
that's great. And as I've got older, especially like I look at pictures of myself and I feel like my lips are gone. Like they feel like, you can't even see them. So if I could learn to put lipstick on well and successfully, because I always look like, I put it on when I was drunk, it's never in the shape of a lip, but if I could learn to do it well, and at 57, you'd think that I would have learned by now, but then I would probably wear it. Although I don't like how it tastes, so it would have to be something that tastes good, because I'm constantly, I would eat it off all the time as well, which is a problem.
Are you hungry? No, I just ate lipstick.
Right, exactly.
Do you want an appetizer? No, not really.
I'm good.
So I will tell you my secret, all right?
Okay.
I never use lipstick. I use a red lip liner and I color in my lips, because I find when I do lipstick, it always, comes off when I drink or anything like that. So I use, this is all just a red lip liner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, and I just colored in. So, I try to color in between the lines, right?
That's where I went wrong.
Well, Christine, I'm not sure if we did 10, but I know I just wanted to do some fun questions with you. And I thank you so much for your time. You are Sparkles, which I'm quite sure all the listeners will see, and really and truly amazing. If people wanted to get in touch with you to find out a little bit more about investing, how would they reach you, or investing, or real estate, or be interviewed on your podcast? And people in Barbados will get to know them. So I'm just kidding, but just all the myriad of things that you're doing. And you're also, which you didn't tell us, is you're also working on redoing a house, right? I saw your tiny house that you're doing, and you just
Oh, you
finished the
saw
bedroom.
that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm just like, this chick does everything. So if people are looking for how-tos and all this other kind of stuff, how can they contact you to get more information? Oh, I'm sorry, and also you're an author. I forgot to mention that, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just a little something. Just a little something.
Sometimes I forget all these things. Yeah, well, I mean, my website is bostonreguru.com. That's the website for all my real estate stuff. And there's actually, even if I do say so myself, there's some great blog posts on there about, for investors. There's a whole Homebuyer University series to talk about people who want to buy a house for the first time and stuff like that. So, if there's, I hope I have some info there that people would find helpful. And then there's another website for the book, which is EYIMbook.com, which EYIM stands for Empower Your Inner Millionaire, which just coincidentally happens to be the name of the book. So you can buy the book there, you can listen to the podcast there, and there's all, what's fun on that website is there's a quiz that you can take so you can find out what kind of investment style you have, what kind of investment might work for you based on, how much money you have, how much, how much risk tolerance, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of fun. You can go on there, EYIMbook.com and check me out there.
The Boston one that you mentioned, I heard it, but I didn't really hear it. Can you tell me what that is one more time?
Yeah, it's Boston because that's my market, where I hang out for the most part. And then RE for real estate, and then Guru because I am hopefully answering all your questions.
All right. So it's BOSTONREGURU.
You got it.
I am so glad I pressed that spelling. I'm always taking these cognitive tests, just to make sure I'm not, I'm not losing too much, But excellent. Well, listen, thank you again for everything, Christine. You are amazing in so many ways, and I'm so grateful that we have formed a friendship and can share with one another and laugh with one another because we're both kind of funny, so
we are. We're both witty. And yeah, I mean, talk about sparkly, Kelly. You are the queen of sparkle. I just love talking to you. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And guys, I did not pay her to say that. I did not pay her at all. So once again, thank you for everything, Christine. And I'll be talking to you soon. I'll be talking to you.
Super.
All right.
Super.
Take care.
Thank you.